Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the next webinar in the series that UKBIC are currently producing. I'm Robert Wingrave, one of the BD team here at UKBIC, and I'm here with our Chief Technical Officer, Richard DeCane. So my role this morning is just to do a brief introduction to what we're doing, and Richard will do the main presentation around the business, and I will just do an introduction around UKBIC as a facility. Why is that not moving? My slide's not moving. So those of you who are not familiar with UKBIC, and I'll just give you a quick overview of who we are, why we exist. You're going to have to advance me there, Richard. Thank you. So before then, a little bit of housekeeping that we tend to run around our webinars here. We encourage people to ask questions. If you could please use the Q&A function on Teams. Then at the end of the presentation, we will try to go and get through as many questions as we can once we've finished. If you'd like to contact UKBIC after the webinar, you can email sales@UKBIC for anything around sales. If you want just general information, you can email us at info@ukbic.co.uk. Anybody that wants to understand about supplying equipment and things like that, please just email suppliers@ukbic.co.uk. And for those people who would like a copy going forwards, they'll be available on our website and LinkedIn from 16th of December. So the agenda today, quick introduction from me, and then I'll pass over to Richard, who will do the introduction around part of our new capability here, the new battery development laboratory. Okay. So UKBIC is part of the Faraday Challenge, which was an incentive set up by the government to help and create a UK ecosystem for battery development. So that covers from very early stage R&D concepts up to development, up to scale up and industrialization. UKBIC here, we sit around the higher end of the TRL, MRL level. We're here to help create industrialized, ready for market product. We're here to de-risk the popular phrase of the valley of death. We're here to support people get to a commercial organization. We're based in Coventry, just near Coventry Airport, for anybody that knows us, right in the middle of the country. That's the latest picture of the facility here. We're 20,000 square meters, so it's quite a sizable asset to the community and to the marketplace. So we're here. Originally, we were set up to help cover people getting to the ton scale in terms of development. So TRL 7, TRL 8 was where we were originally working. We have new developments coming online that will allow us to work around the lower TRL levels, which again is all about how do we support, how do we help people develop and get a product to market. Here we have a giga scale factory. So for people looking to volume, that's what we're here for. As you can see, the new development we will have, which will be covered in the later webinars, is around the flexible pilot line. So we're looking at much smaller scale of material. Next slide, thank you. So here at UKBIC, we have two lines. We have an anode and a cathode line. So they are wet lines. So we're using deionized water on anode and we're using NMP on cathode. We also have mixing, coating, drying, calendaring. Then we have our cell assembly process, which is slitting cell assembly for pouch and cylinder. From there, we have formation agent test. We also have some new cell cyclers that have come online that will help the community develop. We also have a very flexible module and pack area, which supports the development of that industry that needs that requirement in a flexible approach. And then finally, we have a full pack assembly area for people that need that We're here to help develop that here. We're an open organization, so we're agnostic. We don't have process that will be one particular type. We're here to help people develop their different chemistries and their different processes. We're not just about the manufacturing, we're about how do we help people get better at what they do. When they are at a large scale, we're able to support that low volume manufacturing that some people require to help de-risk the investment profile to get people to a better finished product. So you have access to the same equipment you would see at gigascale in a factory. We can also help trial and validate at industrial levels, scale and speed, which can be very important to people. But we're available to any sectors looking to scale battery technologies. It's not just automotive, it's marine, it's aerospace, it's anybody that has a need to scale up their business. But probably the key takeaway about everything we do here at UKBIC is we are not interested in taking your IP. People will be coming here with their background IP. Any IP we develop going forwards, foreground IP is the IP for the customer. And that's really quite important, especially for people who have investors that are looking to support them on that process to being a full-scale product. And apart from that, we also have a training side to the business where we're helping people to train on the line. We're helping people to understand the language of the customer for people who sell into this industry. So the courses are very mixed and varied. So we can do custom, and we have a whole range of different public courses, which we will be doing at our next webinar. I will remind you about that at the end of this presentation. And I believe it's now time to hand over to Richard.
Great. Thank you for the introduction, Robert. I'm Richard LeCain. I'm the Chief Technology Officer for UKBIC. And today we want to talk about the battery development lab that we've installed at UKBIC. So what is UKBIC's battery development lab? In the course of industrialization, and Robert just talked a lot about what UKBIC means in terms of industrialization, whether you're industrializing materials and scaling those up and looking at different materials that could go into a cell, or you're actually looking at cell development and wanting to get to that next level of cell development. Maybe you've made some cells at, what we call a pre-A or A sample level or prototype level, and you're looking to get to more of a design locked level on your course to manufacturing. There are often things that you discover in your journey of cell development, material development, that you need to go back and look at. UKBIC originally had a smaller lab that could do more line side checks, more QC checks. But what we realized was what customers need in that industrialization journey is that they need to loop back and take a look at deeper into the materials and cell chemistry and understand what's going on within their own designs and materials. So previous to not having that capability, a customer may need to go off-site. That may take some time, especially if you have environmental sensitive materials that are sensitive to moisture or something like that. Being able to bring that in-house and have that capability was something that we identified that would help our customers with their turnaround time and with their development. So the battery development lab has advanced capabilities to support customer projects, allows that deep dive into cell chemistry, enabling electrochemistry trials at lower technical readiness and manufacturing readiness. And it's a £3 million investment that is actually now operational right now. This equipment's on site. Training people on it, but it is available to use right now. And you'll get a sense of the size of it, but 240 square meters, which is a fairly sizable lab for what we got here. So in terms of capability, we'll talk through some of that, and there's a list of equipment that's available. As I like to tell people, like, we have all the initials that you want: your ICP, SEM, XRD. So we'll go through some of that, and then a little bit into each of the areas. So on the cell characterization side, we have ICP to do elemental analysis, and SEM for imaging, XRD for phase analysis, thermal analysis for TGA, chemical characterization, Raman spectroscopy, electrolyte characterization, we do GCMS and NMR on site. For looking at cell forensics, for doing teardowns, looking inside cells, we have a new optical microscope, forensic glove box for teardown, where we have done high capacity prismatic cells. So we can do a wide range of chemistries and capacities and cell formats in our cell forensics. And we also have some cycling channels and environmental chambers available, 40 cycling channels and 3 environmental chambers. Now, again, this is just lab scale. At a future date, we may talk about another area that we're installing at UKBIC, a cell cycling area that will have a lot more channels, up to about 300 channels. But this is talking about the lab capability. So it's going to be smaller scale, but there will be 40 channels available in that lab for different size cells and coin cells, which we'll get into a little bit later. And there's also the chemical and physical processing lab. So there's we can do rheology with a rheometer for coating slurries, cross-sectional preparation for SEM, a microwave digester that helps get us ready for some of the other processes and some of the other pieces of equipment, and Carl Fisher titration. And finally, this one isn't available right now, but coming early next year, the dry lab for small scale activities. So being able to do some small scale mixing and coating, coin cell assembly, single layer pouch cells, and multi-layer pouch cells. So that'll be important as we're talking about going through the industrialization journey, that sometimes there's a need to go back into the lab and take a look more closely at a slurry, or make a coating and run a coin cell or run a single layer pouch cell. Before we didn't have that capability. We will have that capability now. So if you need to take a syringe of slurry that you were making on the line and go do a drawdown and make some coin cells and understand something about that formulation, we'd be able to do that and support that. So here's what the lab is going to look like, or what it does look like now. 240 square meters with 160 square meters separated by a corridor to another 80 square meters. And we're just talking about these functions that it supports: the electrochemistry and cell testing. There's an office area, our cell forensics, the chemical and physical processing, and the characterizations. So a good amount of area, what we've put a large amount of capability in. All right, so going into those areas in a little bit more detail and showing what these areas are designed to do and what we have there. So the electrochemistry area, that lab is designed to support customers with electrochemical analysis. So you do cycling, GITT, EIS for impedance, DCIR for cell impedance. We have the ability to conduct electrochemical testing of prototype cells and cycle them in environmental chambers. Those environmental chambers have a UCAR rating of 6, and there's and we'll be able to put a wide range of cell formats in that, whether you're looking at coin cells or pouch cells, or we could do prismatic cells in there as well. 40 channels available in this lab for that type of work. So here are the cyclers that we have available per channel. So 8 channels of 10 amps, 16 at 1 amp, 8 at 1.5 amp, and 8 channels at 15 amp. And of course, we can put these into parallel as well. So we could combine all the 10 amp channels to make an 80 amp channel. And you can see on the screen that the frequency for which we can do the electroimpedance spectroscopy sweeps. So those are the 40 channels that we have available. On the cell forensic side, this lab is designed to support customers with forensic analysis, primarily teardowns of cells and physical and external characterization. It's state-of-the-art, specifically designed glove box to conduct teardowns for investigative purposes. There's also an IR camera in that glove box to monitor cell temperature during the teardown process. And we have ducted fume hoods there to conduct teardowns for disassembly outside of the glove box as well. So getting into some of the equipment that's in there and highlight some of that and some of the brands that we have. VHX microscope from Keyence, an optical 4K microscope up to 6000x magnification that's capable of taking 2D and 3D measurements. The glove box is from Embron, equipped with thermal and optical cameras, and shadowgraph from Keyence, which can also do dimensional measurement on it. And the chemical and physical processing room. So this lab is designed to support chemical and physical processing of materials as well as their characterization, and be able to have the ability to perform a QC analysis here. So this space is designed to allow safe handling of electrode materials and water-based slurry. And we have space here for dealing with electrodes and a glove box for coin cell assembly. So equipment that's involved in this room. So there's a porous, well, you can measure pore size for porosimetry. So mercury porosimetry with the quantachrome porosimeter. The Instron, which is vital to looking at lots of different things in characterizing electrodes and cells. So you do tensile tests, compression, peel tests, look at adhesion, shear tests. Obviously, a really important piece of equipment in our industry, looking at weld strength and all sorts of things. And there's a hot press for mounting metallic samples in resin to prepare them for SEM as well. On the characterization room, labs designed to support characterization of materials. Again, talking more about lots of the initials. So the equipment that's required, the key equipment that's required to characterize all the material components used in cells that are built at UKBIC or not built at UKBIC. We can benchmark cells as well and take those apart and do analysis on other cells and materials. It contains equipment for elemental analysis and ICP, and SEM for electrode imaging, the XRD for phase analysis and crystalline materials, thermal properties with TGA, and carbon-based material characterization with Raman spectroscopy. And we can do electrolyte characterization using the GC or NMR. So within this lab, the XRD is from Malvern. So analysis of solid materials to determine crystal structures and perform phase ID. The Raman is from Renishaw, and the FTIR is from Perkin-Elmer. More equipment that's in this lab. So the GC from Agilent for qualitative analysis of samples to look at volatile components in the electrolyte using mass spec. ICP for elemental analysis from PerkinElmer. And we have an NMR that's from Oxford Instruments for qualitative analysis of electrolyte and investigation into various nuclei. And perhaps one of the most powerful and interesting pieces that we have on site here from Waygate Technologies in a strategic partnership that UKBIC has with Waygate. So Waygate is hosting this piece of equipment here is a CT scanner. A very nice piece of equipment so we can look at the internals of a cell, do lots of non-destructive analysis and observation of cells before you want to do a teardown. So looking at the internal structure for damage, or looking at alignment, waviness, other potential defects within a cell, looking at weld conditions, looking at tabs and the dimensions of those tabs. Really one of the first parts of cell failure analysis. You can look at cells from lots of different angles, and that pretty high resolution piece of equipment. So something that several customers have been through and have been utilizing this piece of equipment, and the results are very good with it. So looking at potential areas or potential for shorting or damaged electrodes, it gets you that first pass before you get into destructive testing and teardowns. And some other capability this piece of equipment has, the CT scanner from Waygate, is batch or production mode. So it's programmable, and you can input a set of instructions, and that can be used if you can be programmable for similar types of cells, but it reduces the need for highly skilled operators. And you can use the auto sampler. It has an auto sampler, and you use either or use the batch production mode for that. It's useful for cylindrical cells. Pouch and prismatic cells require different types of scans, but it can be run without supervision, so it can be run overnight. So we can give it a programmable set of instructions and set up, like you see in the picture there, set up several different cells and run the program, and it will do the same analysis of every cell. So you don't need to put one cell in and then reset the machine back up, then put another cell in. So you can just put it in and then go away and let it do its thing and do its analysis, and then you can come back and get those results. So you can do this at and put it in at the end of the day and let it go overnight, and then you come back the next day and you'd have a full suite of data to look at. And so it reduces the need for highly skilled operators to be able to use this piece of equipment if you can just input the instructions to the CT scanner. And this is what's coming next year. So this will be the coding and cell assembly, the dry lab that we'll put in our flexible pilot line, and we'll talk about that. That'll be an upcoming webinar where we will introduce UKBIC's flexible pilot line, but this lab will be located inside that. So this will be designed to support small scale mixing and coding, as well as assembly of coin cells and small pouch cells. The dry lab required to safely handle electrolyte and to preserve the cathode material. So this is where you can go in and do electrode mixing and coding. If you need to take a sample from your industrialization effort for slurry, go run a drawdown, completing that loop from industrialization maybe back to small scale that sometimes you need to do in the course of development. So that's what this room will enable us to do. Cool. All right. Well, thank you. I know that was a quick introduction to UKBIC's battery development lab. I'm going to hand it back to Robert now, who's going to tell you about some upcoming sessions that we have.
So welcome back, everybody. Trust you found that interesting. And just to let you know, we're coming up with a couple more webinars, one in 16th of January. So that is around the training and skills development that we offer here at UKBIC. And that will be with my colleague Andrew and John T. Dealey-Williamson, who's our head of L&D. And the one after that, which is the 3rd of February, this is around the flexible pilot line, which everybody's getting very excited about. This is a collaboration between ourselves and WMG, where we can help people fill that smaller scale TRL, MRL gap that up until now we've been lacking here at the facility. So that will be a very interesting webinar to be at. And finally, any questions? So I will hand over to Richard.
Questions coming in? There are no questions at the moment.
Well, it seems there's no questions. Gosh.
It was either well explained or not explained well enough.
By the way, if you have any questions, you can always email us to those addresses.
Someone's about possibility to visit some chat. I see one question's come in. Hi, is it possible to visit? Interested to see what's going on. Is it possible to visit?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, absolutely fine to visit. If you email us at sales@ukbic.co.uk, we can arrange that at a mutually convenient time for everybody coming.
Question at the moment. There are no other questions. Is it some? A question in the Q&A?
No.
Is there some facility for low temperature characterisation, presumably?
Yes. So we'll have that capability in the cell cycling area that I touched upon earlier. We'll be able to go to lower temperatures. I believe that our lab. I'll check on the capability of our lab's chambers.
And there's another question. For rheology, is that something coming later when the dry lab mixing comes online, or can this be used now?
Rheology is available now. It's central to what we do on the line here on our anode and cathode industrialization line. So it's used every day. So rheology is on site and available and used frequently.
Do you hire people from abroad?
I don't know how good people are with accents, but I'm not from the UK. So I would be classified as someone from abroad, and I am hired here. So I would say that yes, UKBIC does hire people from abroad. At least I can identify one case.
See another question coming in. Another question I can see coming in. In the Q&A section, right? You see them?
Yeah, there's one around. Yeah. Around the question around the ballpark figure for using the pouch cell assembly facilities, everything's done on an individual cost basis. It's really, really difficult to put a ballpark to it. Ideally, if you reach out to sales@ukbic.co.uk, we will endeavour to answer your question, because every customer has different needs, which makes it very difficult to ballpark. More than happy to support that. I think that's that. Can't see any more.
Yeah. There was another one. Will you be open to subcontracting based on US awarded grants?
I did. That's an interesting one. I believe so. As long as the boundaries of the funding include subcontracting. We do work as subcontractors across the world. We don't just work in the UK. We are working with many countries in the world, because we have an ability here to help people. There isn't another establishment that we're aware of the scale that we have that can support people in the way that we do. So we're, again, drop us an email, we'll have a discussion and see how we can best support.
Thank you for the comment. Yes.
Not a question, but it was a wonderful session. Thank you for the informative session.
And shout out to Derek Maxwell for being on the East Coast of the US, being up early for this.
I think we might have run questions dry.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Well, then thank you very much, everyone, for attending this.